At the end of the night, everyone said their goodbyes and left. Giju went down to his basement thinking about the Iron Guild opening a branch in Korea. It will open in 3 months, and the branch manager will be Rogers Han, and he will be able to get an opportunity for revenge much faster than expected. He entered the underground basement. It was completely empty except for a chair in the middle, and he designed the room to be his training room. Lu asked, since the entrance was right outside his house, wouldn't this place be inconvenient, to which Giju said it's fine since he was going to test the opening of the gate, so we just need to make sure that no monsters go up to his house. He never thought that Sunghoon would be able to find such a perfect house for him. His opponent was the Iron Guild's branch, and even if it was just the branch of a top 10 guild in the country, it will have substantial powers at its disposal. Since 3 months isn't exactly a long time, he must first strengthen himself. To increase his powers, he first needed to know more about his new powers. He got the new ability synthesis and embodiment skill, so how should he use them? He called up synthesis and a pop-up menu asked him to choose his main ego, remarking that means the main ego will be the core of the synthesis. But it's still an ability that he wasn't sure of, so he couldn't use it so recklessly. It would be too dangerous to synthesize Lu, El, and Brunhart since they already have their own consciousness, also since Oberon, Rain, and Hermes were part of the main egos he depended on during battle, he shouldn't use them either. He guessed he will have to use some of the remaining egos he had in storage as materials, but just then Brunhart volunteered to be the test subject. Since he wanted to become as strong as Lu and El, he wanted to do more to help out his master. Giju still hesitantly asked if Brunhart was really okay with it, since he wasn't sure how it will turn out. However, Brunhart convinced his master that even if he died, he will come back again like last time. Taking everything into consideration, he smiled and thanked Brunhart. Calling up the menu for synthesis, he used Brunhart as the main ego and a piece of ego as the sub-ego, and then proceeded with the synthesis. As soon as it started, he was covered in golden light, like that of the piece of ego. Then the voice of Brunhart slowly faded away, alarming Giju, who shouted out to Brunhart but did not get a response. While he was trying to stop the synthesis, the system notification told him that he will be moved into a gate. In a flash of light, he disappeared from his basement. He reappeared within the cemetery of the gate, where he had once fought the Lich. El confirmed that it was the gate they were in before, and Lu told him they were inside the kiddo Brunhart. The system notification told him that the synthesis between Brunhart and the piece of ego has been completed successfully, and due to the piece of ego, Brunhart's gate can be influenced. He remarked, "How can the gate be influenced?" To which Lu stated, "We can probably find the answer over there," directing our hero to the coffin before him. It was the coffin that the Lich came out of previously, and it was glowing with a golden light. As Giju touched the coffin, the system notification informed him that the gate's administrator does not exist, and that he can create the administrator using the synthesized piece of ego, so please choose the gate's administrator. He was thinking of a few monsters that came to his thoughts, like zombie goblin, skeleton knight, ghoul, and most of them were of the undead kind, which is probably a reflection of this gate's theme. Thinking that a higher ranked monster would be best, he decided to go with the Lich. The system informed him that he chose a Lich to be the gate's administrator, and the body of the Lich slowly materialized from the coffin. The synthesized piece of ego was all used up, and the Lich created will be given the rights to manage this gate in the future. When it fully materialized, the Lich bowed down before Giju and greeted his master. Our hero was a little weirded out by the fact that an opponent he recently fought was now being so polite to him. He asked the Lich if he was now the administrator of this gate, to which the Lich confirmed. He asked if the Lich could control all the monsters that are within the gate, and will they follow his orders? The Lich said that was not true, since the gate's domination rate is too low for him to summon any monsters. A pop-up status showed the gate's current domination rate at 1%. He told Giju if he or his master killed the monsters in the future, the domination rate will increase and they will be able to summon monsters. At that moment, a surge of monsters were fast approaching their location. Giju surmised that if they hit them, they would obey them in the future, kind of like what he did to Lu in the past, to which Lu objected. Gearing up for battle, he declared that since he had cleared the gate before, it should not be a problem to clear it again. Lu warned that the monster would have been strengthened after the change. But Giju countered that he has also gotten a lot stronger as well, and charged into the mob and attacked them. 4 days later, Giju's mom was telling Taeshik that they had been unable to contact Giju for 4 days now. Usually when he enters the tower he would leave a message, but this time nothing was left and she was worried about him. Taeshik reassured her that he should be fine, and not to worry since he was so strong. While Sunghoon was getting the information from Giju's sister about the last place he was seen, was when he entered the underground basement. He asked her if she had gone inside, to which she said no, since her brother forbid her from entering no matter what. They told the family they will go in and take a look first. Upon entering, it really was an underground room, and they were unable to see anything in the room that could give them any clue to the whereabouts of Giju. While they were talking that there's no way a gate would appear here, a gate started to form in the center of the room. This dumbfounded Taeshik, as a gate actually appeared in the room. He sensed a very powerful and dangerous aura coming from the gate, and was wondering what was inside this gate, when a foot appeared to step out of the gate. The person who stepped out turned out to be Giju, who was hungry and exhausted. Giju asked what was Taeshik doing here, and it felt like deja vu. All of a sudden, the two of them shouted, "What's with this amount of magic power he had? What was with that gate, and was he really in that gate for 4 days, and did he clear the gate?" Taeshik put Sunghoon in a headlock and told him to let him talk first. "You bastard." Giju told them to calm down and speak one at a time, since he was planning to contact them anyways, so it was good they came here. He had something to request from Taeshik, but Taeshik was furious, saying "request my ass," then grabbed Giju by the ear and told him to explain everything first, calling him an idiot. Giju, under pain, explained that this was the gate ego he was linked to last time, and he managed to enter it, and now he can manipulate the gate. Shocked at this news, Taeshik let go and asked if he can really manipulate gates? That meant that Giju could now handle monsters however he wanted, and also cause gate breaks at will. He had enough power to create a natural disaster. Taeshik asked if he told this to anyone besides them, and Giju relied negative since this was his first time using it, and he planned to keep it a secret until he fully understood it himself. Taeshik, relieved that they were the only ones to know about it, asked what the request was. And Giju wanted to spar with Taeshik, so that he can test the power he obtained recently since he didn't have a suitable opponent. Taeshik remarked was he some kind of a training doll to him. But Giju easily persuaded him to reconsider, since if he helped, he can arrange for Taeshik to have dinner with his mom. With a polite cough, Taeshik replied if it was a request from Giju, he sees no reason for him to refuse. But before they start, Giju should see his family since they were worried about him, and Giju apologized for forgetting. Lu, without missing a beat, called him an idiot. It really took 4 days to get the domination rate to 100, since it took longer than expected due to the gate being strengthened by the crystals. He named the manager Lich after Brunhart, and named it Hart. However, he was originally planning to name it Brun, but it was rejected by the 3 egos. The next day, at the Association Tower training room, Giju and Taeshik was about to spar, and Taeshik reminded Giju not to forget his promise. Taeshik first told Giju to release his magic power. A little puzzled, he did as he was told. Magic power release is revealing your magic power without restriction, since the amount of magic power you have increases with your level, but you also become more skilled at hiding it. Therefore, when a strong player releases their magic power, the suppressed magic power bursts out like a flood. Just as he didn't sense it wrong yesterday. With this, it looks like he couldn't hold back when fighting. Taeshik materialized his weapon from the get-go, and said he will face him for real this time, releasing his own magic power from the start. Meanwhile, outside the training room, vibrations could be felt by the other staffers. They wondered what could be the cause of these vibrations, while one co-worker mentioned he saw the director heading to the training room earlier, wondering if that could be the cause. A peek inside the training room, the two combatants clashed against each other, neither having the advantage. A female co-worker said that with the amount of protection the training room had, not even magic power will be able to seep out of there. Her co-worker agreed, unless the director was careless and went all out, but he was too smart for that. Also, there are not many people he can go all out against in the first place. Back within the training room, the battle was getting heated up. With a surprising attack, Taeshik was able to hit Giju with an elbow to the back of his head, sending him to the ground. And just as he was about to strike him down with his full power, Giju released his reflect, causing a huge explosion in the area. The power of their fight was even felt by some at the gate entrance to the tower. Yubin and her grandma both felt this power, since earlier these vibrations were enormous amounts of magic power that were colliding against each other. The redhead asked if this could be a break occurring somewhere, but her grandma corrected her, saying it's more likely players who are rankers are facing each other head-on. As we return to the training room, Giju parries the attack by Taeshik, but is still forced back by the blow to crash against the wall. Elle tells him not to push himself too hard, while Brunhart says this person is too strong, and Lu tells him not to be a wimp. This is how one becomes stronger. He tells his egos that he's fine, and as he becomes stronger, he can feel the gap in their strength even more now, so he was a bit surprised. As blood drips from his gauntlet's hand, he thinks the person before him is not so simple. He was hit directly with reflect, and even under the effects of Rain's grievous wounds, is able to move without much change since the beginning of their match. As Taeshik compliments our boy on becoming strong, but asked was that all he had to show him? Lu agreed with his master, saying that a normal person would have dead from his blows. Giju, shouting he will attack as hard as he can since he knows there's no way he'll die, charges towards him using haste and take a mighty swing but hits only empty air. Saying as he thought, he can even see through a surprise attack from him. At this, Lu retorted it's because his movements were so easy to read. This was the former high ranker, Behemoth, and he got his name because he wielded the legendary weapon, Thorn of Behemoth. Giju told Lu let's do this, to which the Black Sword warned are you planning on killing him, even if its strength has decreased compared to the 30th floor, it's by no means weak. In the next moment, he unleashed Death sent a blast which can be seen from even outside the building. Sometime later, Sunghun came peeking into the room and was shocked at the scene that greeted his eye, since the room was in shambles. Taeshik, while lying on the ground, greeted Sunghun for coming, while Giju remained silent while lying face down. Sunghun started to ask what in the world happened in here, to which Taeshik replied he didn't know, but wanted him to bring some health potions for them. The room had a huge crater in the center, and even the magic barriers protecting the room were destroyed. Using the potion, Taeshik applied it directly to the wound on his arm. Taeshik asked, does he have a curse skill or something because the potion doesn't seem to be working, to which Giju confirmed that he had a similar effect called grievous wounds. Sunghun asked if they could explain the situation to him now, since what on earth really happened to make this training room be in this sorry state? Taeshik told him, it's as you can see, to which Sunghun said it looked like if someone was intentionally trying to tear this place apart. After drinking his health potion, he turned to Taeshik and asked how he did. Was he pretty strong now? He told him he still had a long way to go, since he still had poor movements because he got too powerful too quickly. While he can take on 100 weak enemies with ease, but if he ran across a strong opponent he would have a difficult time, to which Giju agreed. Taeshik gave him some pointers. First, he needs to figure out his opponents, and second, make it hard for his opponents to figure him out. He was advising him to work on his techniques more, and Lu also commented that he was a little clumsy when it comes to using dual swords as well. Taeshik thought that a person wouldn't be able to use half of their power if they didn't have the necessary techniques along with it, but for Giju to scratch a legendary weapon that didn't even know the meaning of durability. If he's able to make that power his and control it. Then, thinking about it, decided to have Giju registered, since it's about time Giju got himself a title of a ranker. He wondered wouldn't being a ranker mean everyone will know who he was, but Taeshik told him not to worry about disclosing his identity, since he was a mercenary before he was a ranker. And protecting the mercenary's identity was top priority, so they wouldn't have any issues with the association divulging his identity. Seeing his performance today, Taeshik was sure even if his identity was revealed, he would be capable of protecting himself. Giju got embarrassed at this compliment, and started to blush red in the ears, and of course his egos were fast to point this out to him. He was still hesitant on taking on more risk by getting the title, since he thought having the authority of a mercenary was enough. However, Taeshik told him to hear the details from Sunghun before making up his mind, since he had work to finish and he was so damn tired. On his drive home, Sunghun explained there are two big benefits to becoming a ranker. One was the ability to influence the association's decisions, and the other was access to a lot more information. More importantly was that the title of ranker and high ranker was not given by Korea, but by the International Players Association. While mercenaries only had authority within Korea, rankers possess authorities all over the world. It's to be able to do things on the global scale, and while Giju didn't think he was that influential, Sung-hoon thought otherwise and guaranteed that Giju would be getting involved on the global stage in the near future. With his ears turning red, he said that even if he praised him like that, nothing will be different. Then deciding, he said piece of cake, he will become a ranker. To which a depressed Sung-hoon said piece of cake, does he think becoming a ranker was so easy? What would that make him, why was he still living? Which made Giju quickly apologize for what he said, saying that's not what he meant, while a pleased smile could be seen appearing on the face of Sung-hoon in the rearview mirror. He went on to tell him that there are only pros to it and nothing disadvantageous, but there is actually one thing that's troublesome. He needed to participate in an unofficial ranking battle at least once. Normally a ranker would get their title from fighting in public ranking battles, but in the case where a person gets registered unofficially, even if the association acknowledges it, it doesn't mean the rest of the rankers will. So an unofficially ranking battle requires the participant to spar with a ranker, where 3 or more other rankers are present to watch the match. Giju asks if the sparring ranker would not be someone close to becoming a high ranker, to which Sung-hoon confirms, saying since it's actually a formality, they normally would use a new ranker. Meanwhile, on the 45th floor of the tower, a red drake was charging a group of players. A beautiful girl with long hair was calmly watching it approach their location. The monster was charging with its mouth open, showing sharp teeth, but when it attacked it was surprised to find its enemy no longer there. However, the girl was standing on the drake's head, telling the other players that lesser drakes have duller senses in return for having tough skin. So instead of fighting them up front, it's better to get on top of their heads and attacking their eyes from there. Saying this, she skillfully used her sword to strike a blow to both eyes before elegantly jumping off the drake. She also demonstrated that if things didn't go as smoothly, slashing them at the back of their knees will also make them easier to hunt. Then she quickly dashed in and slashed the drake into pieces, saying that you need to get strong enough to be able to deal damage first. She was the guild leader Shin Yubin of the Mist Flower Guild. When she asked for questions, everyone in her guild looked at her with blank stares. They were charmed by her skills and commented, as expected of their guild leader, she is so cool. After some time, inside the tower's locker room, an elder was asking Yubin shouldn't she let another guild take up the guiding work from now on since she became a ranker, to which Yubin replied that she is doing it because she liked it. Her late father told her that it's more meaningful to guide those that come after them, as compared to leveling up. He would often tell her about the guide that helped him a lot when he was a newbie, but just then a message appeared on her phone informing her of an upcoming unofficial ranking battle. She turned around to her elder and asked what's an unofficial ranking battle was, since she only knew about ranking battles. Her grandma told her that it's a battle that's a formality for some who has already become a ranker in the association. Yubin cursed, saying, so this guy is getting a preferential treatment instead of helping out others. This person was stealing an opportunity from someone else that rightfully deserved it. She won't let him get his qualifications so easily, while on her phone showed the picture of our boy Kim Giju. If only he was even half as good as the guide that her father had talked about, while staring at the picture thinking he's quite good looking though. The people who would be judging this unofficial ranking battle were the association president, director Oh Taeshik, and ranker Yu Siku. While looking at the information, Giju was commenting these are all the people he knows. He was asking Sung-hoon, wasn't this too much of a preferential treatment, and is this really alright for an association that should pride themselves on fairness to do this? Sung-hoon could only shrug, replying why was he being like this, since he already told him from the start that it was gonna be a formality. And they are not the kind of people who will let their emotions get in the way of the evaluation, and in the first place, Giju's skills have long since reached the realm of a high ranker. They were just worried about who to put in the ranking battle with him. At these words, Giju calmed down. Then, thinking he forgot to ask the most important question, who would be his opponent? Sung-hoon told him to scroll down a little more, and it showed the leader of the Mist Flower Guild, which was a small group made up of elite women, the Mist Sword, ranker Shin Yubin. Upon seeing the picture, Giju said it felt like he had met her somewhere before. At these words, Sung-hoon commented that people don't use pickup lines like that anymore, which caught our boy off guard. Sometime later at the second training room, the people were gathered for the unofficial ranking battle, where Giju and Yubin were to face each other. Sung-hoon explained the rules of the sparring match. Excessive attacks are prohibited, and the spar ends when one side surrenders. The moment it's judged that the rules were broken, but before he could finish, the cheerleaders on the side interrupted, saying comments like, "You got this, just do as you're always done, and let's see what you're made of," which unnerved our boy. Which only angered Yubin further, making her believe that Giju only climbed the ranks through his connections, and she couldn't accept this so easily. If he was unqualified, then she would fully reject to this qualification, and after thinking this, she firmly gripped her sword with both her hands. At the sounding of the start, both combatants charged it towards each other. Their swords clashed, without anyone taking the advantage. After Yubin swung her sword with a powerful two-handed style, she changed into a one-handed style and, using the momentum of her strike, to quickly maneuver behind Giju, leaving only after images in her wake. Giju, noticing her strike from behind, deftly dodged out of the way and counterattacked. Lu was coaching him, saying, "Good, now suppress as much power and speed as possible, and face her with only technique. She isn't a bad opponent and her movements are passable." However, Yubin was getting frustrated at not being able to hit her opponent and continued to strike at him with multiple attacks. Lu continued to coach, saying to block in the most ideal way and follow the most ideal path to evade, and if he can redirect the blow instead of blocking it head-on, then do so. Meanwhile, Taeshik remarked, this was supposed to be a sparring match, but he's training instead, while Sequo asked if ranking battles were always this carefree. While clashing swords, Yubin was thinking she's made a hasty judgment of this guy. He wasn't someone who was pretentious, but someone who actually strong. No matter how she attacked him, she couldn't reach him. Where did such a strong person come from? She wasn't planning on using skills, if possible, but she powered up her sword and unleashed a powerful slash that hid her blade from the naked eye. Giju was taken back since he couldn't see her sword, and El told him it was an illusion-type skill. Lu chimed in, saying it looks like he can't hold back any longer, to which Giju replied affirmative, and he should finish this up soon. He used haste to quickly appear before her, and then using force to deliver a blow to her sword, knocking it away from her. The guys on the side were impressed with the move, while Yubin declared that it was her loss. Sung-hoon loudly declared player Kim Giju the winner, and for winning he will be approved to be promoted to ranker without being given a grade. With her head held down, she thought she misjudged him unfairly and even lost so disgracefully, she couldn't even lift her head. Just then, Giju extended his hand out to her, saying, "Thank you, ranker Shin Yubin. It's been a while." Surprised, she asked him did he know her? He asked her isn't her father's name Shin Jungchul, to which Yubin was shocked and asked how did he know. As he thought, he told her that he was a tutorial guide previously and he heard a lot about her from her father when he was alive, and he even saw her once during his funeral. He wasn't sure at first, but seeing her face he remembered her being a high schooler, but she has grown up a lot. Yubin recalled the memory of her late father, telling her that he met a guide who can't level up, but even so, he helped other people grow, calling him cool. But at the same time thoughts of her misjudging him came into her mind as well. She was silent for a moment, then all of a sudden blushed red with embarrassment. She met his hand in a handshake, saying it's been a while, and using her other hand to cover her face. The others just congratulated our boy, and left the room saying they had things to do. While Giju was signing some documents, Yubin shyly came up to him with her phone asking if she can have his phone number. And Giju calmly replied of course, while Sung-hoon behind him gave him a knowing grin. When asked what that expression was, Sung-hoon replied it was nothing. Later, as Giju was getting out of the elevator, he was thinking he didn't really feel like going to the tower, so he'll just go talk with Taeshik for a bit. Upon reaching the director's office, he was going to knock and ask for permission, when he noticed the door was already open. He peeked inside, but to his shock saw Taeshik hunched over by his desk in the darkroom, and shouted his name. As Taeshik raises his head, he was holding his stomach and grimacing in pain, and blood can be seen on the corner of his mouth. Well, stay tuned to find out what happens in the next episode. Until next time.